Hello everybody, this is Mark. I'm a member of the Insta360 X group on Facebook. And back in December of last year, I actually bought my first Insta360 X camera, the X4, and I'm really enjoying this camera. I take it on mountain bike rides and when I'm driving around in the car, and also snorkeling. I do a lot of snorkeling, so I take this underwater with the dive housing on the camera as well. Recently I went out and I tried to do a star lapse, and I was really kind of happy with the results of that, but I'll be doing more of those in the future. And one of the things when you go out and you shoot a star lapse is you're really limited to only being able to shoot for the duration of the battery life if you're shooting using the battery in the camera. So most people that shoot star lapses with these, they use something like this, which is a backup battery power source. This is a 30,000 milliamp battery, and with the Insta360 camera I can probably shoot for 12 hours or longer if I want to. So I took the backup battery out with me along with a 6-foot cord, USB to USB-C cord, and I simply just plug this into the battery pack here, and I'm good to go once I plug this into the USB-C housing on the camera. But here's the but in all of this, okay? A lot of the members complain that when you do this with the battery plugged in, the camera can overheat when you're shooting a long duration star lapse, probably like 3 hours or 4 or 5 hours, I don't know. I only shot for an hour and a half, 2 hours the last time I was out. So they recommend taking the battery out. Okay, so you take the battery out. But once you take the battery out, what you're left with is all of the insides of your Insta360 camera are exposed to the elements. So if it's humid out or something like that, then you can get moisture in there, and it could cause your camera to short out, or you could have problems with the camera if it gets humidity in there and it's running for 3 or 4 hours the whole time that you're shooting your star lapse. So what I did initially for my video is I just taped over this with duct tape. I just very carefully make sure the duct tape was sealed all around the opening, and I shot for an hour and a half, 2 hours with it like that, with the battery out, powering the camera through the backup battery source here, and it was fine. I had no problem. But then I said, there's got to be a better way to do this. So I went online and I saw where a guy had actually taken apart one of his Insta360 X camera batteries, popped the top off of it, and he used that to cover the port because that's what it's made for, right? So I happen to have had a third-party, this is the actual battery that came with the camera, but I bought some third-party batteries like this from an Insta360 X4, and I had inadvertently put one of the batteries in my swim trunks when I was out wearing them just as shorts. And the next time I went out swimming, I had forgotten to take the battery out, and when I went swimming, I swam with the battery in the sea and basically ruined the battery. You can't use the battery once you get it in seawater because the contacts corrode in the battery, and it could ruin your camera. So I had one of those. So what I did is I took a look at it, and I started kind of prying on the top here of that third-party battery, and kind of looking, and it looked like I could pry it up a little bit. So I just took this little tiny screwdriver, flathead screwdriver here. Let me pull this back a little bit so it gets in focus. I took this little flathead screwdriver, and I just kind of, with my third-party battery, I just kind of was able to push up on the center of it enough to slide that screwdriver in, and I popped up thinking, okay, well, I'm gonna have to work my way around it. But when I popped up on it, the cap just popped right off. So this is the cap that was on this third-party battery. This is the cap that was on there, okay? So now I have an actual cover cap with the locks on both sides that I can actually plug into my Insta360 camera port when I'm using my backup battery pack to charge it at night and run it at night when I want to shoot a star lapse, and my case will be protected from the elements. I've just popped that right on there, and I'm good to go. It's popped into the case. It looks just like a regular battery, but there's no battery underneath there, and I can power it all night long if I want. I don't have to worry about any kind of battery overheating or anything like that, charging the battery and running the camera at the same time. Getting this off is not easy. You can't just push on it with your fingers and pop it off. It's not going to come off. It'll never come off because there's a spring down in the very bottom of the case here, so that when you push these in with a battery in there, that spring pops the battery out. But it's not going to do that with this. So what you have to do with this is you have to take that same screwdriver or something the size of that screwdriver and push it on the top lock here. Press it against your body so that you can get some good pressure on this. Press in on it with pressure and then pop up. You might have to do it a couple times. Okay. And then you can just pop this right off. And that is an interim solution that you could use if you wanted to do something to cover and protect your battery. Now, if you're worried about still moisture getting in there, doing it this way, you just take one of those little water absorbent pads that you get for your Insta360 dive housing, and just pop it in there like that, and then pop that cover on, and when you're done, you just drop it back out, and that would absorb any water that might end up being in there. But this is a solution that works if you have a older battery that's not holding a charge anymore, or something that you've dunked in the water and you've ruined the battery. You could technically do that, and what you end up with is just this. It's the actual battery case cap. It's still got the waterproofing around the outside, so no water is going to get in there, even if you're out filming in the rain with your backup battery, but the water would get into the USB-C. But this would just alleviate that worry of the camera overheating, because you have the battery in there that you're charging, as well as powering the camera with your backup battery source. So it's something that I did, that I'm going to use, and I don't mind having to pop it off with a screwdriver. It's not easy, but you can pop it off, but you got to put some pressure on it to pop it out of there. And some may say, okay, yeah, but you're going to ruin that over time. Well, yeah, you're probably right, over time, but how many times am I going to shoot a star lapse? Maybe once a month. My guess is that this will last my lifetime, at least, and if not, it'll last until another battery gives out, and then I'll just pop the top off that one. So this is a solution. I'm not recommending this. I'm just putting it out there as a solution to be able to cover your battery compartment door if you wanted to use a backup battery to shoot star lapse or something at night and you're worried about overheating. So just hope some of you might find this interesting. I can tell you that it does work, and that I will use this the next time I go out to shoot a star lapse. And I'll let you all know how that goes, but that's not going to be until the next new moon. So we'll talk to you later. Take care. Bye-bye.